several years. Payroll is one of the oldest industry, one of the oldest outsourcing space for more than now 75 years. But nobody was able to create a single source code of a software which can run any country payroll.
Well, yes, absolutely, Ashok. But irrespective of generations, I think ARIA is all about, feasibility and flexibility. Like, you need not wait for your HR manager or your payroll manager to come and figure out things for you. But as an employee, you can just go ahead and do that.
And they had the requirement to see how do we give pay slips to their visually impaired employees, So this was the requirement which was driven, and when AI came in together, we realized that yes, this is the problem which can be very easily and much better way can be resolved by adoption of AI. And ARIA's birth came from that as a basic requirement. If you look at employee perspective, okay, payroll is the only important system they are interested in.
Welcome to the Payroll Powerlist by Neeyamo, the podcast where we spotlight the people, ideas, and innovation shaping the future of payroll. I'm your host, Nancy, and in every conversation, I sit down with global leaders, change makers, and payroll visionaries to uncover lessons in leadership, transformation, and impact. Whether you're in the payroll trenches or leading from the boardroom, this is where the world's payroll conversation come to life. And this time, it's with Ashok Bildikar, the Chairman and Managing Director of Neeyamo. Welcome, Ashok, to our podcast about ARIA.
Welcome, Nancy.
Okay, Ashok. So let's quickly kickstart with our conversation. Ashok, as you know, AI is transforming industries across the world, right? From finance to healthcare. How do you see AI reshaping the HR and payroll landscape today?
I think if you consider almost every HR platform today is trying to get AI interventions, because there are huge number of use cases within the HR platform technology where AI can benefit actual end users, and these are the use cases which are getting prioritized by every product in one way or the other, and they are getting deployed into the actual reality. So huge investment today is going towards bringing up these use cases in the industry, and we'll start seeing the adoption of these use cases maybe a little at slower pace, but it will pick up over the period of time.
Yes, indeed. So payroll by its nature has always been about precision and compliance, right? How do you think AI can enhance these traditional strengths while also introducing new efficiencies?
If you consider, while payroll is always considered as a transactional system, okay, where it gets a little bit of a lesser attention from boardrooms, but if you look at employee perspective, okay, payroll is the only important system they are interested in. So if you really look at the number of queries which employee raise or concerns which they raise, mostly they are associated with payroll and time. Okay, so from the employee interest perspective, payroll is a very, very vital system in an ecosystem of whole overall HR tech platform. So I personally believe that payroll, while transaction, it is important. More than that, also another thing which you need to understand is that the experience is something which is very, very important for employees to use the HR technology platform. And AI, at least in Neeyamo, we are trying to see how we focus on experience enhancements while compliance and other regulatory requirements are there. But I think with AI, we can definitely enhance experience level, and that is where our focus is.
Perfect. Rightly said, Ashok. When talking about experience, let's dive deeper into the birth of ARIA, right? What inspired the idea of ARIA, and where did the initial spark for it come from within Neeyamo? I know in Screen Exchange we have Agent Sam, so we are actually not new to the market. But within Neeyamo, how did this actually happen?
I think as a company and as a nature of our core belief, we are always ahead in the adoption of technology. So any new technology comes up, in our lab R&D, we have a cell where we start experimenting with those technologies. So there have been several technologies in the past which we have been using and adopted within the payroll, like conversational AI, chatbots, natural language processing. So there are several machine learnings. These are the technologies which are adopted. When AI comes in, AI brings all these things together in a uniform manner. So moving for us from usage of those independent technology to the overall integrated framework was a natural path. Okay. Number two, as I mentioned to you, our primary focus was always customer demand and customer requirements. Okay, so we have one of the very large global conglomerate, which is our client, and they had the requirement to see how do we give pay slips to their visually impaired employees. So this was a requirement which was driven, and when AI came in together, we realized that yes, this is the problem which can be very easily and much better way can be resolved by adoption of AI. And ARIA's birth came from that as a basic requirement to see how do we resolve customer requirement related to the visually impaired employees in payslip interaction.
Now, ARIA stands for Adaptive Real-Time Intelligent Assistant, right? And what do those words exactly represent to you? And how do you define what ARIA aspires to be?
I think if you look at it, in the most of the other technology companies started creating AI as an independent software, was handling certain part of the I would say the use cases for them to show it that they are using AI. But when we wanted to have an integrated framework. Okay, and when we talked about integrated framework, we wanted to make our solution in a manner where it is context sensitive. It understands where it is in the application, what is that our end user or which is employee or a payroll manager or a global head, what they are possibly in that particular location in the software will be looking for. So we wanted to create something which is very, very adaptive. So if you look at it, ARIA's adaptiveness in terms of the way intelligently determines what possibly the questions will come up or what interactions will come up, and it responds that. Second thing was um, a transition of our current natural user interface and ARIA's interface should be streamed in a manner by which they should not feel too much of a difference. It should not be, okay, they are on one side, they are just having some chat conversation kind of thing, and other side they get much better UI analytics and information. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to create a real time but also a experience within the area which basically dissipates the other experience. So if you really look at it, the major difference in area as compared to bulk of the other places deployment is that our experience within uh, ARIA as well as in the traditional experience within the application uh, moves very smoothly. So if they have experienced on one side, they can correlate that experience within the ARIA, and if they have experience in ARIA when they want to move back to the traditional way of handling system, that experience is again is smooth. That's the advantage which we felt was something which we wanted to create, and that is the reason ARIA is much different than most of the places the industry adoption.
Now let's talk about integration, Ashok. What role does integration play in enabling ARIA to truly become a part of the payroll ecosystem rather than just another AI agent?
As I said, number one, I think intentionally one more thing which we have done in ARIA is we have kept ARIA as an optional adoption by a customer, because we see that customers have their preferences. Some of the customers are ready to use AI tool within their application portfolio. Some of them are still testing the water. Some of them are worried about it. So we did not wanted to push ARIA in a manner by which, oh, this is what, take it or leave it kind of thing. We have made it configurable that customer has a choice whether they want to activate ARIA, yes or no. And within even activating ARIA, if they want to activate it for a specific purpose, so that is the advantage which comes up. Number two, what we see from integration perspective, our whole ARIA is 100% fully integrated at experience level, at the functionality level, as well as at the data level. Okay, so there is no point where it's disconnected system which is using. Also, we have taken a huge uh, care about how we do data protection of the customers' confidential information. There are, if you know very clearly in payroll, there are very stringent GDPR, OSBR kind of a rule sets. More and more countries are becoming more sensitive about it, and we have to make sure that we do not violate any of those rule sets which are coming up. We have created our own AI adoption security policy guideline within the Neeyamo, and we're making sure that the data is completely protected. None of the customer data gets shared with any external model for any purposes. So whatever happens within the close boundaries of our own applications and within the limited space, so that customer data doesn't get exposed to anywhere outside the platform.
Talking about conversations, can we really talk to ARIA and get payroll process? And what does that level of conversation capability mean for the future of user experience?
Theoretically, actually, when we see the Payroll 3.0, which is the Neeyamo's core IP platform, and which is the only platform I can promise you in the world today which can process 136 countries on native engines. Okay, so this particular technology which we have developed over the last decade if you really look at it, has today possibility of a touchless payroll. Okay, so we are able to do a payroll without even any single interaction from customer or our teams. So payroll is our current payroll 3.2 is capable of doing full touchless payroll if customer wants as an option. Okay, so while we say that it is a touchless, and there are current customers, some of our customers who use that as a advantage, but there are certain customers who want to interact with the systems during the whole process for various purposes, and that interaction is something which we have right now. The natural experience, as well as now newer way of ARIA experience, is the ARIA. You can verbally give the instructions to a platform, and platform will do the processing. To me, while this is a little bit of fancy feature as of today, the how this will get adopted and whether people will really adopt it or not, because please understand the payroll world. Bulk of the payroll administrative teams, they come from the earlier generation. They are very, very comfortable in using the current way of processing. So if they are going to use advanced technology like ARIA to do the processing, I have my own doubt how much time it will take, how much change management it will take. But definitely I see a employee side adoption of ARIA. So employee can do simulation of their salaries. They can see what would be their possible salaries. If you see what would be the ARIA actually in depth explains the pay slips, how the pay slip is being generated, what is the variation, why the variation. Okay, if there are any compliance changes, it explains exactly how the compliance changes are happening, how will it get impacted to a customer. But I think the actual payroll processing adoption with the voice commands, while we have developed it, to me, adoption of that, in my mind, will take its own time.
Well, yes, absolutely, Ashok. But irrespective of generations, I think ARIA is all about, feasibility and flexibility. Like, you need not wait for your HR manager or your payroll manager to come and figure out things for you. But as an employee, you can just go ahead and do that. So I think it's all about flexibility. So so moving forward, like how did the team ensure ARIA was not just technically powerful, but also intuitive, something that understands context as much as commands?
This is adaptive nature of ARIA is something was a core principle which we developed. So we first of all know the personas which is using a system, right? Persona can be employee, persona can be a HR manager, persona can be a finance manager, persona can be a payroll processor. So there can be several personas within the system. So we know the persona which is using the system. Number two, we know exactly where is that person right now in our application. If it is in let's say your time related system, or is it in reporting system, is it in compliance management, where currently that person is navigating within our application, is knowledge which ARIA has. So with the knowledge of where is that person, what is the his persona, what typically such personas in that place will ask for. Okay, so ARIA is always ready for that. These are the predetermined kind of the experiences which very clearly has been tested, adopted, and it gives the responses accordingly. Sometimes it suggests based on the previous conversation and experience with the person, it starts doing predictive possibility of what possibly the challenge that person might be facing and how that can be addressed.
Yeah. So as AI systems evolve, how do we maintain responsibility and data security while driving innovation at this scale?
I think, as I said, AI overall is still at early stages. A lot of money going on, a lot of investments are going on. There are few things which will happen, and I said adoption will take its own sweet time because people are concerned about the data protection. Big corporations are doing their own researches. They are trying to find out legality, exposure outside world. So there are situations where people are careful about it. So while in general manner adoption can happen faster, but corporates will the enterprise market which we basically play will take its own time because each of the customer going to do own risk assessments towards adoption of such AI and what impact it will have within their organization. We already have started getting a lot of security audits from customers related to data protection and if there are any violations which are going to happen related to the regulations related to data protections. So I think there is an interest which is triggering, but it is triggering slowly. The actual adoption, as I mentioned, because of the concerns, will take its own time in the ways to come. But at the same time, if you look at it, AI models itself are improvising. AI new features which are coming up, and that is something is going to be a balance which tech company like ours will have to do it. That we keep on adopting the newer frameworks, newer models to give a more better experience to the end users. And as the adoption increases, we should be ready, available kind of a thing for a market. We should not be saying, oh, now I will start building it out. So almost completed our build. There are improvement, there are new use cases are coming up, new questions are coming up. But if we look at it, what we have done is we have over last 10 years of data related to questions, queries raised by large number of customers, their employees, their processing teams. So we have done almost 80% of repetitive questions which comes up, or repetitive queries which comes up, repetitive help which has been asked by a customer. Those are being adopted and put inside the system as of now.
Perfect. Now, when it comes to ARIA as a concept to a prototype to a launch, what were, let's say, some of the biggest challenges or learning moments along ARIA's journey, Ashok?
I think number of challenges. Nothing comes without a challenge. So our team to keep up to date and keep on learning, tech teams, what we are looking from business and function side, and the coordination between the what we call is a functional team and tech team was one of the challenge. Because both have to get on the same platform to deliver the expected results. So that definitely challenge number one. Challenge number two, as I already mentioned repetitively, is that we wanted to make sure that data security, information security, privacy is maintained. And how do we do that? So we had parallelly a very, very large team from our CISO was in play to start doing research, start doing what more, how we are bringing up the newer ways of contracting and protecting the data protections when we are using AI. So that work was going on. That was another big challenge which we had. Testing was a challenge because when we put it kind of thing, we put with the limited use cases in the beginning, but when it went into the rigorous testing, people started asking any random question to just see how AI behaves. So it is not something which was very clearly thought through about every question which will come as intentional trying to break the oh, because the testing team was challenged that I will be breaking the AI. So they had that kind of a attitude, and those were the first number of cases where we had to then adopt AI quickly to learn such questions and answer them in an effective manner.
Right. How does ARIA fit into Neeyamo's larger vision for autonomous payroll, Ashok?
I see. See, autonomous payroll, we all are already there. Okay, possibly we are the first one to be there. In the market. Correct. Now, ARIA to me is a more futuristic, but at the same time more easy to use, easy to experience to our payroll users. Can be employee, can be managers, can be anybody else, processing team. So we have added that layer which will make the product more acceptable or will get adopted faster by our customers. Every time many things we have made in ARIA as a self-service, like rather than going and trying to reach out to somebody in the our organization to, hey, I have this problem, how do I solve it? Or I have in this country this compliance, what's happening? Are you on it? So instead of them reaching out to a person now, and there's a wait time and there's a possibly the response delay, understanding issues. Instead of that, now with ARIA, they are able to interact quickly and get responses online. So which is going to give a much better experience in the usage of the autonomous payroll as a progress.
Looking back on this journey, Ashok, what's been the most rewarding moment for you personally and professionally in bringing ARIA to life?
I think number of things. Any new technology, person like me who is a technocrat, always happy to see a system going live, and happy to see the first level of demo. Oh wow, kind of thing. Your team has done it, kind of thing. And I think ARIA was one of such definitely a experience where we've seen first time few things happening, which was difficult in a natural way of progressing and development of the platform, because as I mentioned, like visually impaired people now can very easily interact with our autonomous payroll and get what they want, which was not easy. It was difficult earlier, and we had to say that today it's not there, we'll think about it, we'll come back with the things. But now that is a reality, correct? So think about it, there are many such new use cases which is happening with the usage of ARIA, and that is making us definitely proud to bring that such technology up front and get a benefit to our all users.
When you think about innovation at Neeyamo, what does responsible innovation mean to you in practice?
See, number one, if you look at globally the technology footprint, we see there are white spaces. What I call is white spaces is there is no solution available for customers in that particular area. Okay, so to me, identification of such white spaces and creating a solution around it, which will solve the major issues which current sets of customers and any set of customer, enterprise customers or mid range customer or even the smaller customers feel. So if you look at it, whole Neeyamo's approach towards business has been to address this white space and create a solution which nobody has dared to create. So several years, payroll is one of the oldest industry, one of the oldest outsourcing space. for more than now 75 years, but nobody was able to create a single source code of a software which can run any country payroll. Okay, so to me it's a huge innovation because this solves the large number of troubles which current customers are facing. They have to otherwise integrate with hundreds of different softwares. They have to maintain those integrations. They have to keep the team trained to use those softwares. Every software in different way navigates. So team has to be trained. So all those issues are resolved. If we look at it, our platform, whether it is country A or B or C, if you get trained on one country, you can process another country with no time. You don't require reorientation. Your payrolls are done within the minutes, as compared to most of the other payroll providers. It takes days to process. So I think the innovation is always creating something different by which you are solving customers' current problem or the issues which they are facing into specific domain area. And we focused on payroll as one of the domain, but there are still, in even HR tech space, there are still areas where there are white spaces in the industry and they need to be addressed.
Okay, coming to the end of our conversation, Ashok, I have one final question for you. What would you say to CXOs who are looking to embrace innovation with AI in the future?
I think number one, internal alignment within the enterprise. CXO must go through all sorts of regulatory requirements, compliances, and needed security frameworks which they need to deploy prior to usage of the AI, because AI is going to expose organization to some new possible risks, correct? So I think that is very fundamental. If they want to enter into the journey, they should clear that. They should get whatever necessary internal approvals related to that, and then start slow and start moving up forward. So there is no point in going big bang and then failing. Instead of that, take a step-by-step approach. Use it. For example, let's say if there is a customer who is using Neeyamo in 80 countries, I would suggest that they should try it out in 1 or 2 countries in the beginning, test it out, everything, get the feedback from the existing countries where they have done the adoption, and then slowly expand the number of countries or number of use cases which they would like to activate. So I think going step by step, avoiding the risk related to the information security, data protection, privacy, all those are going to be a very key decisions which CXOs will be required to take.
Perfect. Rightly said, Ashok.
Thanks a lot, Nancy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We should do this very often. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you for joining us on the Payroll Powerlist by Neeyamo. Conversations like these reinforce an important truth. Payroll today is no longer just an operational function. It is a foundation of trust, continuity, and responsible growth for organizations worldwide. If this conversation resonated with you, I encourage you to follow, share, and stay connected as we continue to spotlight the leaders, ideas, and decisions shaping the future of payroll, one conversation at a time. Until next time, this is Nancy signing off. Thank you.